Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, October 11th, 2023 Planning Board meeting for the town of Raymond. The Planning Board will come to order. The board does have a quorum, and we'll start with roll call.
Mike Richmond.
Greg Foster.
Robert O'Neill.
Ed Kranich.
And from Zoom.
Kevin Woodbury.
This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda and will be considering tonight's items in the following order. We have a final site plan review for Port Harbor Holdings, and new business preliminary site plan review for from Peter Bernier. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, good. And a preliminary site plan review from Alan Solar. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances or state law. All persons speaking, including representatives of the applicant and members of the public, are asked to stand at the microphone, state their name, address, and affiliation with the application. All persons speaking shall address the chairman. Any conversation must be held in abeyance until after the board has formally adjourned. After the board votes on the merits of each application, it will prepare a written notice of decision, because the notice of decision may substantially affect any appeals rights. And also, as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting with regard to a specific application not leave until the board has completed its discussion. Appeals from adverse discussions must be filed with the Superior Court or as otherwise provided by law within 45 days of this board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your individual rights to file any such appeal, you must be certain the board records evidences of your appearance this evening. All right. Our first item, which I actually skipped over, is the approval of the minutes for our August 9th meeting. Is there any corrections, changes, additions? Is there a motion to accept?
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention. Motion passes. All right, our first item up is the final plan review for the Port Harbor Holdings. That application has been tabled, so we'll need a opening motion to remove it from the table and consider it this evening.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All discussion? All those in favor? And
Aye.
Kevin? Kevin votes yes. Motion passes, and we're up. All right. Will, what do you think? You need...
Yeah, so I think we're in pretty good shape. I think there's a couple items that, so I think this was just submitted yesterday or today. There was a letter from DEP relative to the permit, DEP permits, and indicating that pretty much everything's been submitted and the order's been written, but it hasn't been formally delivered to the applicant at this point yet. And it looks like they're waiting for signatures, or it's being reviewed by the Attorney General's office, and they anticipate that the approval date will be on or before Monday, October 16th. So technically we don't have the permit in hand, but it feels like it's all but a done deal. It's just waiting for the actual order to be issued. I guess from our review, I believe everything has been addressed. The one item that I still, I guess, just wanted to bring forward was, and I think we've discussed this at past meetings, but the parking, and I think they submitted a waiver for the parking,
Yes.
if I remember correctly. So if we may want to act on that waiver, but I don't think we've formally approved it yet, have we?
We have not. We've actually still were in the discussion.
Or deciding whether we need to have a waiver.
Right.
And then I think probably ought to let Wayne speak relative to his comments
On fire.
on the fire.
Okay. And the retaining wall has been taken care of?
Yes, so I believe they added a
Split rail fence.
split rail fence along the top of that.
Okay.
So that was, I think that was what we were looking for on our end. So as long as the board's happy with that, I
Okay.
think we're good.
Rob, I'm going to go to Wayne first.
Yeah.
Wayne, where are you on the project?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we're in really good shape. We worked with the applicant to address outstanding issues, and we would, on your approval, recommend that the findings of fact reference the, let me get the right one, the July 10th, 2023 memo as conditions of approval.
Okay. Are there things still outstanding, Wayne? Is that what is from that memo?
No, it's just, we should, in the findings of facts, reference that memo in case there's any questions in the future, but the plan as it stands is in good shape.
So that wouldn't be a condition for approval then?
It should be noted in your findings of
Okay.
facts to reference that memo.
All right.
Because everything in the, that has been addressed is based on that memo.
Okay. All right, Rob.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rob McSorley with Spager Technics representing the applicant. We're before you once again for the proposed expansion for Jordan Bay Marina. We have about a 19,000 square foot building and surface parking for additional car parking, very minor, and boat storage on the property. We began this process about a year ago, got well into it, and we realized that we had some issues relative to the shoreline zone that we backed up. We reconsidered the site use, and based upon that, we came up with the configuration that's before you. That has been totally vetted and permitted through all the agencies. One of the key parts of this submission was to give you copies of all the approvals. MDOT, there were 2 entrance permit and the highway opening permit, an updated ability to serve letter from Portland Water District, an updated confirmation from Portland Pipeline, and the reissued Army Corps permit. When we did resubmit, at that time, we had just an email saying that we were complete by DEP. They were hoping to issue their permit by today's meeting. However, they wanted to make sure the language was right based upon past history and whatnot. So it's currently under final review, and as the letter notes, we expect to be out hopefully by Monday with that permit. Also, as Will had mentioned, this plan set here added the split rail fence along the top edge of the wall to preclude any or provide for fall protection and whatnot. We also, one thing I had forgotten specific to put in the application, there was a question about the height elevations of the building in the different zones and whatnot. They were actually on the architectural plans previously provided, but we also provided the sketch that we had worked out through Mr. Alex before we did the redesign to make sure that we didn't violate the height criteria. And you'll see on the bottom, there's a little sketch there in red. That was what I had coordinated with Alex on, and that matches the elevations on the architectural. So, and per the conversation at the last planning board meeting, it was desired to have a specific waiver request done up, and so we did a waiver request letter relative to the 3 items that we had discussed at the last meeting. That was the site lighting, the amount of the parking, and the internal landscape inside the proposed minor parking that we have in the front of the building.
Is that, where is that, Rob? Is that complete? Is that in this packet that you gave us?
That was in the original resubmission package. So there was a cover letter overall, and then there should have been a 3-page letter that specifically was addressed to you, and it went through the standard criteria for each one of those 3.
It's towards the back.
Do you not have that?
Towards the back.
All right, I knew I saw it. I was just flipping through it. I couldn't find it.
It's the back 3 pages.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mike. All right. Thanks, Rob. I got,
Yeah, so on each one of those, we went through the specific criteria and, you know, say how we met the specific criteria and whatnot, for your benefit. We also specifically added those waiver requests onto the plan in front of you there, with the other additions we had done. Also, on those notes, when we came before you last meeting, we had already resolved those notes with Wayne. And the notes, as they're written on there, include all the notes that he wanted relative to the fire system and the requirements and whatnot. So with that, I think we addressed all the open items from the last meeting and be willing to answer any of your questions.
okay. First thing, I think we just do the, what Will was talking about, the letter. Rob gave it to us. Is that, everybody okay with that as the acceptance? Acceptance? Kevin, you okay with that letter that just came, it's on your email if you haven't seen it?
Right, I'm looking, the one from the state?
Yes.
DEP?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that up. Yeah.
Okay. You're okay with that as the acceptance? Okay, all right, so that takes care of that one. All right, so I guess we need to discuss these waivers as our first, as our next biggie. Anyone got any thoughts? Excellent, Mike.
Well, I was not present at the last meeting, but I did read through everything. I guess my general question about parking is this. So it seems like the request is, far below the standard. It's, by my math, it's less than 10% of what the standard is. And I understand the use, I understand the math and the argument, totally get it. I guess my question for the applicant would be, is there a backup plan? So with this layout, if there's a parking issue, what happens then?
Okay, I'll address that in 2 parts. One, the code, there is not a criteria for the specific use, and your code specifically says that the applicant can provide data relative to, and documentation relative to the use to substantiate a parking use.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Relative on the last approval that we had done, it was raised that there was parking concerns relative to that approval and that the site didn't provide adequate parking and we were parking on the roadway and all that. We actually installed cameras and we monitored the site for all the weekends and all the holidays through a season and came back that there was no parking problem. Okay?
Understood and appreciate that. I guess my question is, if one developed, if the business changed,
And that's
is
my
there a
next.
backup plan?
What we would do is we would delete some of the boat storage over there and provide more storage for cars.
Okay,
But we don't feel that it'll be necessary.
great.
So I guess, in addition to that, if the use of the building changed, they would essentially
Have to come back.
have to come back. And if they went in and put in a cafe in that building or something like that, they would have to come back and deal with the parking at that point in time for that different use as well, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on the parking? Have we agreed now that there's supposed to be 96 spaces? Is that what we're working from and working down from?
Are you saying based upon what the code says?
Yeah,
Well, once again, the code says if there's no use,
right.
then we have to provide a data and whatnot. Certainly, if the use of the site changed and
No, I am still on the why we need the waiver discussion.
I don't think you have to be really, but we put it into waiver because of what code allows you to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I guess my understanding, and maybe Alex can weigh in on this as well, but if they, my interpretation of the code is if they can provide information that indicates that their use only requires, a different amount of spaces, then technically you've met that standard, and I wouldn't think you need a waiver for that, but.
So, yeah, that's where I am. Alex, you have something?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I think that's correct. They've requested it, so
You could
at this point, I'd
grant,
probably act on it. Yeah.
you could probably act on it since
Yeah.
they've requested it.
Oh, yep. I mean, I'm a little bit on Mike's side, though, is that we're actually going to grant a waiver. If we're going to say it was, that 96 is a requirement, we're giving a waiver out for 10%. Where does that put us as a precedent for future projects? They'll say,
Good point.
I mean, the uses, if you're going by the square footage, I think it's just for retail, wholesale, or service establishment, or office, or professional building.
This is a warehouse.
So, I mean, I guess you could try to say it's a service establishment, but they're saying here that they fall under number 9, which is uses that are not specified above, which I guess I would agree, it's not specified above. So that allows them to provide us with their own, well, it's really the review authority, I think, shall determine the number of off-street parking spaces required to accommodate, based on analysis submitted by the applicant. So they've done that.
So I would think then what instead of a waiver, what we would want to do is accept the number of parking spaces for the application.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Is that,
That sounds.
sure. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
okay. So what do we, 14, is that the right number? What,
8.
8 is the right number.
Yeah. There's 8. We had 9, but there's a space there for the fire to access the FDC for the building.
Okay. All right, so I would move that we accept the applicant's determination that the required parking for the application is 8 spaces as annotated on the plans.
Second that.
Does that sound okay with everybody? Kevin, is that?
That's good with me.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
It passes, so we're going to do away with that waiver, Rob. Sorry to make you go through all that, but I just feel uncomfortable waiving 90-some odd spaces.
I understand.
All right. Lighting? You had lights. What are you trying to waiver? What are we doing here?
In your ordinance, there's a specific foot candle requirement over the entire site,
Right,
and we don't want to put that much light in because we're not going to use it.
Yep,
And we're in the Sebago Lake watershed. And as part of the whole dark skies movement, we want to reduce the lights to what is necessary.
okay,
So we provided adequate lighting through the loop road and around the building for emergency purposes.
okay. And your landscaping waiver, there was a discussion though on that landscaping from the applicant, from the public hearing.
Yeah, so again, given the small footprint of the parking, to me, it feels like there's a case that could be made that landscaping around the perimeter of the parking lot, which they have done,
Right,
versus adding internal islands and
Islands,
things like
yeah.
that. It just feels like you really don't want to add internal islands because it's just going to make everything bigger. So why not just landscape around the perimeter, which I think they've essentially.
but for 8 spaces, we don't have a requirement for islands, do we?
It's based upon the square footage of parking, based upon the square footage of the building.
Yeah.
If you were to take what we're providing for parking versus an office, and then we would fall underneath that square footage.
Right.
But since.
Okay.
No.
Let's not go there. All right.
So, Mr. Chair, with that,
Yep.
are we to consider the parking area for the boats as parking area? I don't want to open up a can of worms, but it is.
I think it's just the vehicle
That's
parking.
storage.
It's a good question. What is that considered? Storage, boat storage?
Yeah, I would say it's,
Yeah, I would agree. It's storage.
yeah.
Storage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we can exempt that.
yeah. All right.
So I guess the question is do they need a waiver for
Right.
the landscaping, given that, they've added landscaping around the parking?
So I would think it's only the lighting. I mean, that's, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think just the lighting needs to be a waiver.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll go with the lighting waiver. All right, so, so I would move then that we accept the request for a lighting waiver and approve the lighting waiver for the Jordan Bay Marina expansion project. It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Kevin votes yes. All right, so that waiver's done. The other two waivers. Rob, I'm just going to say so you can agree that you are retracting the request for the other two waivers.
Okay.
That's what I thought. All right. All right, then that is what is left. Let's see, is there, this is not a public hearing. Is there anyone in the Zoom there from Indian Point that is, would like to question anything for this evening? Nobody from Indian Point? Okay.
Keith Richard is here, but he doesn't seem to want to say anything.
Okay. All right, then. I think conditions have all been met. Is that correct?
Right. So, well, I guess conditions of approval to me would be receipt of that DEP permit.
Final permit, right.
Then I think we also talked about, and this would be submitted at the time of a building permit, but submittal of retaining wall design plans is prepared or sealed by a Maine professional engineer, licensed professional engineer.
Okay.
And then whatever your standard, I don't know how many standard notes you have now. I've got one listed here, but I don't know if you've got other standard notes that you require for.
Just a sunset clause,
Okay.
and that's,
So
yeah,
that's the one that I've
that's
got on there.
right.
So it would be those 3 conditions of approval.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Could you repeat those again, the sunset clause?
Yeah.
The design, PE design for the wall?
So we have, submittal of a retaining wall design plan, plans prepared by a Maine licensed professional engineer. And then receipt of the
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Maine DEP. Are there 2 permits, Rob? Is it a stormwater and a NERPA, or is it just?
It'll be a joint permit. You know how they issue it. They issue it under one authorization for both.
Make a motion?
Sure.
All right, I move that we approve with the following conditions. Sunset clause be included with the design. A PE stamp design for the retaining wall be provided at the time of getting the building permit. And a receipt of the DEP permit, which has been promised to us in a letter from DEP.
Is there a second? Greg seconds. Any other discussion? Nobody wants to bring them back next meeting?
We'll miss you.
I'll be more than happy to come back.
Well, okay then we'll, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
When he comes.
Oh, thank you.
Can we count on that?
You can leave that on the podium.
Thanks, Will.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Give Jim a second to get back in the driver's seat.
Thank you. Been a while. Thank you.
Yes.
Serious damage of those.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Yes.
You all set?
All set.
All right, we have a, next up is new business, a preliminary site plan review, an application being submitted by Peter Bernier. Jim, would you start us off?
Sure. This is in for extension of a private way to create an additional lot. The lot is located in the RR district. They're looking to create just enough frontage to create that lot, so it'll be a hammerhead, basically 150 feet long with a 50 by 50 turnaround. This is off Lookout Lane, which comes off Tower Road. We're looking at the, may have to have some improvements on the private way. This serves more between 4 to 10 lots, so the question will be, does the,
You want, would, come on up, come on out, down the front, come on down, yeah.
I'm 80, and the hearing is just one of the things that goes to hell.
Just one.
just one? So the biggest issue that we had is the condition of the existing private road and whether or not that needs to be brought up to the higher standard, meeting the 4 to 10 lots served off a private road. This does serve more than 4 lots, so this is always the difficult things with these private roads. As you know, once we go to different tiers, so in this case, 4 to 10 lots would require a 16-foot travelway with 3-foot shoulders. This right-of-way meanders in and out of the right-of-way, but anywhere from 14 to 12 feet wide travelway. So there may have to be some improvements. That may be something you can waive, but I think Wayne may have some comments about that as well for fire access. This is just here for a sketch plan this evening, and looking for comments back from staff. So eventually they'll have to apply for a formal application. We'll need to see some stormwater for the small amount of improvements for the turnaround. I suggested that they use the point system that we have to meet that. I think they could do it with some simple buffers. And all the utilities are already run up there, so they should be all set with that. We obviously, because it's a lot, we need to make sure it's a conforming lot. At some point, they'll need a test pit to show that it's a conforming lot. So with that, I think we can turn to the applicant.
Jim, just quick, the frontage is going to be on the Hammerhead?
Off that spur, yeah. Because you got 50, 50, 50, 50, 50.
Okay.
You can use all those as frontage, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Okay, sir. You have to go to the microphone, though.
Oh,
If you would have to, do you want to, do you have any questions? Yeah.
Okay. I didn't hear quite a bit of what he said, but I don't know exactly what you guys want.
So I'll summarize.
All well, I want to gift a building lot to one of my grandkids right there, Ross and his significant other, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
And I thought it was going to be an easy thing to do.
Well,
But it sounds, from what he says, you're going to want the road brought up to town standards.
there you did hear.
Huh? Well, why? It works just fine the way it is. There's plenty of access for emergency vehicles, and the reason I know is I've had emergency vehicles in there 5 times in the last 2 years. And I've had tractor trailers in there delivering the big machinery from my woodworking shop. And last spring, a tractor trailer went in to deliver metal roofing. So how wide do you want the damn thing?
Well, I think you miss it by about 3 feet. Is that,
Yeah, well, on
that right?
one
average.
side of that road, the right-hand side coming in off, what the hell's the name of that road? Tower Road. There's a natural gas pipeline. You mess with that bugger and you're going to be dead meat. So you can't do anything on the right-hand side, nothing, without taking a chance on disturbing that natural gas pipeline. If you do that, you're going to be vaporized. You won't have to worry about approval. On the other side, there's already a ditch. That would be the only side I can do anything on, and I'd have to get into the woods. What do you want, another 4 feet?
I think what we would need, Mr. Chair, is
I got about 16, 18 feet now.
I think we'd need a letter from an engineer stating, how the road conforms to the current standards.
I am a registered professional engineer. I got a copy of my certificate over there, if you want to see it.
Are you civil?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't.
No,
need to
no,
see-
we don't need to see
Don't
it.
need to see it. But we need to confirm the depths and the widths and the normal street requirements.
And I got 35 years experience with DOT construction. I got 8 years experience foreman with R.J. Grund, and I do know what I'm doing.
okay.
And the reason I asked for an extension, I got to get closer, an extension to Lookout Lane is you guys require so much friggin' frontage on the road. How much do you require? How much?
225?
225 there, I believe.
You're kidding. Wow. I built 3 houses for my family, and I couldn't have built any of them on the lots that I built them on with that requirement. I don't know if you know, but what the heck's the reason for such a huge frontage?
Just for density?
Who?
Density?
Oh, you're trying to keep people
Yeah.
away? Oh, you're trying to thin people out.
There we go.
Use the land up fast.
I got you. Well, we're out in the middle of the friggin' puckers out there, and I don't see many humans. If they're out there and it's the middle of the day, they're probably looking for a house to break into. So I go out and greet them, and they leave. But I don't understand what all this shit's about. I mean, all right, so you got a standard, but it's working. I mean, we have never had a problem with anybody having access to my house, which is the very end of the road.
So how many houses will be on this?
All together on the road,
Altogether.
7.
7
Yeah,
houses.
7.
Yeah. You have to go to the.
Oh, yeah, you want to talk?
I just have one simple.
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead. You
Yeah,
got
I'm going.
Nothing is simple.
I guess that my big question was only clarification on whether or not it's Lookout Lane that's is standing right now. Does that have to be reconstructed to meet the standard, or is it just the possible extension that needs to be
The access.
the access?
All the way
the
in.
whole from the start of Tower through.
Yes.
All right.
This is very similar to one not very far from there that we've dealt with in the past, Alfred Mann.
I can tell you, there's no problem with the drainage. We've had many
Remember that one.
hard.
It was off 121.
Drenching
They
rains.
wanted to do a duplex, and then they've come back a couple different times.
Oh, yes. Yep.
It's very similar to that and how we had to deal with that. And, you know, we tried to work with them. I don't know if we ever did they ever build anything on that?
They are currently.
Currently.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, those are, I don't make them up. Those are the road standards and those are the design standards for the zoning.
Right.
I think if we could have, you know, the other way we could look at that is if the shoulders could be at least improved, and I think the person that needs to really weigh in on this is Wayne with the fire department, and, I mean, they have the largest piece of equipment.
Let's hear from him. Wayne,
Yes, sir.
what do you think?
So, of course, you know, with our ordinance, that
Did we lose him?
He froze.
He froze. Uh-oh.
the ordinance, the street ordinance as it's currently written. So, you know, the recommendation from us would be to move forward with the required road widths and to have that hammerhead turnaround design so that we can turn around. Because currently, if we wanted to turn a fire truck around, it's even tight down by Mr. Bernier's place, especially in the wintertime. Did you get any of that?
Yeah,
Because I've
we-
been
we're-
freezing.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're thinking.
So the whole thing is emergency vehicle access.
Well,
It's
not
those-
all that, sir. It
That's a
is
big
because the ordinance, it is the requirements of the town ordinance as to the design of the
All
road.
right, so if I did nothing, if I didn't give this land to my grandson,
Yeah,
then the road's just fine. I don't have to do a damn thing.
well,
Is that correct?
Well,
The only
yes,
reason I
yes,
have
that is correct.
Yes, but you couldn't do any further development on that. You'd be basically, you could keep the road as it is, but if you do anything up there to add another lot in the future,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
gonna,
well, this will be the one and only. I'm 80, it ain't gonna happen with me again. Maybe the next guy that buys it
Now, is
might
this,
wanna do something with it.
is this whole lot yours? This whole area here?
It's the original is a four-sided figure containing around 15 acres.
Okay.
And
So the
this
odds
lot-
are, sir, at some point, you're gonna wanna develop some of that land.
I certainly won't.
No, but your family is going to want to.
Yeah, well, they're gonna inherit it and sell it.
Well, and at that
So
point,
then it'll be that guy's problem. It won't be mine.
yeah, and this is the difficulty because we've got layers or steps in the private road standards where you start out, we allow small roads, but this is the problem is that when they exceed 4 lots,
right,
people get upset that they have to improve their road to a larger standard, but that's the trade-off. We let them go small to begin with, and then the idea is as they expand the uses in these things, they have to widen the road to get it closer to the overall town standard.
Yep.
But it's incremental steps. I mean, so once you go over 10, then you got to meet basically the same as the public standard.
All right, so my options are,
That you have here, right?
from what I understand it, my options are don't gift this to my grandson or spend tens of thousands of dollars improving a friggin' road, which doesn't need improving except for your rules. If you want a turnaround down the end, I could do that easy enough. But improving the whole friggin' road,
Well, it would just be
Well-
up to where the turnoff is.
I don't think
Well,
that.
Or would they have to go all the way to the end?
They probably have to be all the way to the end, right? Because we're looking at what the number of trips that go over that road.
Yeah. I'm not a developer, you know, I can't
Possible it could take,
incur an expense, triple it, and charge the poor sap that's gonna buy it the fee. No, that ain't what I do. Anything that you want done is coming out of our pockets.
I mean, I don't see why the road can't go from 16 for the first 3 down to 12 for the remaining, or whatever it is.
Right.
The last 4. 3, I think it can be down to 12.
Well, and the other thing is that this survey doesn't give us any dimensions on the travel source. You can see the road clearly meanders in and out. So in some sections, it may be 16 feet. In some sections, it may be 12.
It's 16, more or less. It might be down by my house, it's a little narrower down there.
so the area
That
of
might
the,
be fine.
But that's beyond where the access would be for this building, for his lot.
all right, so if you can confirm that you've got 16 feet of road,
Somewhere near,
up,
probably a little more.
all right, 16 foot
I
width.
can't widen it on the right-hand side going down over the hill.
I understand that, but if you can confirm that you have 16 feet width up to the.
From Tower Road
Up
to
to the
his
hammerhead.
lot.
That would be step 1 in getting the, that would be, the board could probably work with that. I'm not going to tell you the board can work with that, but I think that the board would be able to work with that.
Well, you gotta let me know one way or the other, because we got a lot of work to do. Well, starting, you go down to the corner. Have you guys been out there?
I have not been out there.
Well, you got demands, I got one request. How about we go out and look at the damn thing?
Well, we could do a site walk. We would normally do a site walk, not for road extension, but we could do a site walk if you would like us to do one.
Well,
It's not going to change the 16 feet width, though. Because
let's go look at it. One picture's worth 1,000 words.
yeah.
Let's go look at it.
All right. So
And
what
we'll
else do
take
we
a
need?
cloth tape with us, and then we'll see what the hell we got.
All right. So we've got the road width. We have
The road width, and then we'll have to just address whatever small amount of runoff comes off the new extension. How it's going to be graded. We don't have any grading plan or anything as to
as to where the water goes.
Well, we really don't have a road design yet for the Hammerhead. We have the survey layout of the right-of-way, but we don't have the road design. We'll need to see just the road design and typical cross-section and make sure it complies with our road standards.
Do we need contours for the old new lot?
We at least need it for the right-of-way, for the new right-of-way. Ideally, we'd like to see it for the whole way, just because, again, I haven't seen how the drainage works up here, so. This summer would have tested it if the summer was ever good.
Yep.
So, I mean, we will need to see some topography and some drainage plans and basically a road extension design, but at this point, it's just in for sketch plans, so.
Yeah.
But when we see the formal application, we'll need to see some kind of design. It looks like utilities are all up there. There's overhead lines, so they can come in off those.
Can't I don't know. You can't turn up the volume on that damn thing.
You've got utilities coming in? The utility lines come in, right, overhead utilities?
There's overhead.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
And they come down
They
the
come-
lane, right?
Yeah, they
Okay,
come
like-
right down
Yeah,
to that
yeah.
intersection, yep.
Okay,
There's a pole
Yeah.
right there.
okay.
That pole might be in the
So-
way if he needs to.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then the only other thing we need,
the road is going, leaving it around the pole.
Mr. Chair, the only other thing we need is eventually, just to prove that it is a reasonable lot, we need a test pit on the proposed lots.
that's right.
We don't need any more design, but we need a passing test
Test
pit to
pit.
make sure it's a legal lot.
All right, so you want to, site walk?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yep.
Yes?
He wants us.
I mean, it's middle October. By the end of October, it'll be too dark at 4 o'clock. So we got a couple of weeks we can do it in. 5 o'clock at night, it's still light. 6 o'clock at night, still light.
You go another month, you're gonna get shot. Well, me.
When would you guys like to do it? You want to try to do it during the week, or?
See, I've maintained that road. It's in damn good shape. It's got a crown on it. The water doesn't run down the road.
Kevin, you
Drainage
still with
works
us?
great.
Uh-oh. I don't see him.
Kevin?
Yes,
Okay. We're trying to put together a site walk. Do you have any preferences, weekday, weekend?
any time's just as bad as any other time.
Okay. How about you working guys?
I'm fairly open. I can do it in the middle of the day during the week.
I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Want to do it then?
No? Dark.
We are looking at
Early morning or a weekend can work for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, weekend or,
Early morning or a weekend can work.
so weekends?
Yep.
All right. What do you want to do, anything?
Anything. Except this Sunday and a couple days after that, but free.
Jim, what's your,
Pull it up.
what's the Saturday the 21st look like?
I can't do Saturday mornings. I have an obligation every Saturday morning.
All right, how about,
Family, but I can do any other time you want.
about Sunday afternoon? You free then?
Yeah.
22nd?
Yep.
Jim?
Good time.
1. 2?
Might be better for me, but I could probably do one.
2? You could do 2. Kevin, 2 o'clock on the 22nd?
Sounds okay.
All right. Done. There are things though that we're going to need right besides this road, right, that you're going to have to work. That you're going to need some design, right? You need a test pit. You need contour lines for drainage.
I know I need a test pit for my septic system.
Okay. You need contour lines for the drainage off of the.
That thing's got a wicked pitch. You ain't going to worry about water running. Water runs downhill, and you're not going to stop it from doing that. And
Yes, sir, but we still need the
We need-
documentation, sir.
We need an engineered design for the road you're
for
building.
Christ's sake. It's so obvious. Son of a...
and that's it. Okay. Now, if you go home and you find that road is 16 feet from all the way to the,
I'll walk along with a cloth tape when you guys are out there. How's
all right, but what I'm saying is if it's 16 feet now, then you don't need to worry about any of this.
Yeah,
All right,
but I gotta do a whole bunch of unnecessary contours on an obviously steep as hell ditch.
well, let's hope it's not too steep.
Oh, now we gotta worry about erosion.
There you go.
Yeah, well, it's been that way now. I've owned it since 1980.
Can't be over 10%. Over 10%, we can't build on it.
Yeah, then what? You're gonna want a bunch of stops in there. You're gonna want riprap.
Probably an overhead cable car would be better.
Overhead what?
Cable car that goes overhead.
Yeah, sure.
There you go.
All right, at least you got me smiling. I was starting to get hot.
You might want to visit the
I
comprehensive
mean,
plan
this-
committee.
I know, it's been working. I've owned it since 1980, and I built a house on it 15 years ago, which is 08, we moved in. And never been a problem with anything, drainage, washout, none of that bullshit.
So, but
Can't hear him, he's not at the mic.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, we gotta move on. We'll see you. See you on the 22nd.
It's been, yeah, I'd say it's been a pleasure, but it hasn't.
Take care, sir.
Yeah.
All right, next up is our preliminary site plan review for the Allen Solar Project.
Yes, sir. Okay. Allen Solar Farm Project is being presented off 302. They're looking for just under 1 kilowatt solar farm. Be generated over 6.8 acres. The entire lot consists of roughly 29 and a half acres. It's located in the RR zone and the LRR1. The access will come off 302 near existing garage. It's kind of going to sweep in, go in behind the residential. They appear to have met all of the necessary buffers. The majority, actually all of the solar panels are not located in the shoreline zone. They've kept those all out. We had some relatively minor comments with regards to some of the drainage issues. But I do think that Wayne may have some comments with regards to necessary fire access and prevention suppression needs. Overall, we really didn't have a whole lot on this one. All the services are there, so if the applicants, I believe they're online, they can follow up.
The applicant there?
Lucy.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. This is Dave Fowler from Mainly Solar, the owner of Allen Solar. Also with me this evening is Lucy Fowler and from Mainly Solar, and then Kirk Ball from Akron Engineering, who's the technical rep. I'll let him actually take over in regards to just giving a quick rundown and description of the project area.
Okay.
And then we can take it from there with the discussions I've had with Wayne. You on, Kirk?
I'm here. I'll share my screen and kind of give you guys a background of the project.
Perfect.
All ears.
It's telling me host disabled participant screen sharing. Can I share?
You can share.
Yeah, Kirk, I'll make you the host, and then you can share your screen.
Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome. As soon as I find the right spot. Oh, come on. The 3 dots, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not giving me that. Try it with the other side. Dave, you know this is not my forte, right? It is not giving me those choices. What the heck?
Sandy, I can do it if you want me to jump on real quick.
Yeah, that would be awesome, Alex, because it's giving me a whole list of other stuff.
All right, I'm jumping in right now.
Sandy, who are you
Thank you.
hosting? Who are you trying to host?
Kirk Ball.
That's a good picture, Alex.
Oh, thanks. Hold on.
At your high school graduation?
Get both speakers on, so. Use your microphone.
Yeah, it should be all set now. Sandy, can you make me host? You can't find that, huh?
That's not coming up when I go to the three dots.
Yeah. So is Raymond Town Office the host?
Maybe.
Did you let me into the meeting?
Got it.
You got it.
Yeah, from there I can go from me to make them the host, and then they're gonna have to let it be Kirk. I'm sending it back to you, Bill.
I feel like I'm in a Chinese weather balloon.
It's all over my head.
Well, it's better than me coming in with COVID, so.
Oh, horror.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we appreciate that, Dave.
Oh,
Kirk,
no.
Kirk, you should be a host now.
I can share, that's good.
Thanks, guys.
Can you guys see my screen okay?
Oh,
can,
we
yes.
can.
All right, so just to kind of give the board a sense of where the project is at, here's Google Earth. Fire department is located there. Hilltop Mini Mart and Raymond Marine is right here. This is the parcel boundary highlighted, not all of it in yellow. I will now just switch to the survey plan done by the professional surveyor. So here's 302 Raymond Marine is located on this lot. The 29 acres is made of 2 parcels. This parcel, map 4, lot 68, owned by Scott and Amy Allen, and the other parcel is owned by Scott Allen, tax map 4, lot 68. So the total combined is just about 29.5 acres. As Jim mentioned, we're in the RR zone, and here are the shoreland zone limits here highlighted in blue, measured by the surveyor. We have done wetlands, vernal pool reconnaissance on the project. There was 3 significant vernal pools identified. One is here, a second is there, and the third is there. The dashed line is what is called the critical terrestrial habitat area. And there are a couple of small isolated forested wetlands on the smaller lot where we're going to be gaining access. In addition to the wetlands, other PNR, we did do an IPAC review for Army Corps. The only species that came up was, I think everybody's probably familiar with, the small world begonia. Dave did have a botanist go out a couple of months ago, did a survey of the parcel, and there's no small world begonia on the entire parcel. So we're pretty good there. We're confident that this is the protected natural resources associated with the project. Now I'll kind of go to the proposed site plan as presented in the application. This is a very small solar project. This is just under a megawatt. It's 966 kilowatts. I think most of the board who's probably driven around the state of Maine Most of the project you're seeing constructed now are a 4 to 5 megawatt project. So this is about a quarter of the size of what's being developed right now in the state, or being constructed in the state. The project will specific solar equipment. As Jim mentioned, we met with Alec and Jim, I'd say about a month ago, and we talked about the change to the SES ordinance and the definition of the shoreland zone. So we pulled, the project was originally inside the shoreland zone. We were under the assumption that the parts of a solar energy system could be. So we revised it and pulled it out. So these are the panels that we're proposing. We've pulled them out. These solar panels will be ground mounted. They won't be the fixed tilt type. They'll be the tracker type, so that they'll rotate on a single axis and follow the sun as the day goes along. They'll go back and forth each day. Equipment associated with the project will be inverters, typically that either mounted on the solar panel racks, or they'll be on the equipment pad that will be located right off the hammerhead. The equipment that will be included in this are inverters. We'll be converting the DC power to AC power, and then a transformer will also be mounted on that pad. Underground utilities will follow the access road right to the pole that's on 302. There will be 2 additional poles that will need to be installed to support the interconnection to the circuit, to the grid. That's pretty much the solar equipment. The arrays, the racking, inverters, transformer, and the underground lounge to make connection. So the additional development to support the project, we have a, 980-foot access road that goes along the long, narrow lot owned by Scott Allen. Access would be off 302, just as Jim said, we're right near the garage, the residential garage and house that's there. We would come in off of that curb cut off of Route 302, have a hammerhead here. Other items, there is no lighting. There's only one light that we're proposing, and that is at the equipment pad. That would be a cutoff light, and it would be motion sensor. So it would only come on if there's a technician there that needs to do work to the equipment. There will be a fence. Right now, we show a fence that encompasses the solar field and also comes all the way out to the road. As you can see, the fence right here with a gate. Communications with Wayne, we probably are going to modify that in our next submission to where the fence only surrounds the solar field itself. Let's see, for stormwater, there's quite a bit of grading. The topography on this parcel is quite unique. It's very irregular. So we have quite a bit of grading. To treat the stormwater coming off the site, we're proposing 2 stormwater soil filters, under drainage soil filters. One would be located here, and the other one would be located in that location. In addition to the 2 stormwater filters, we did have the grading that we show here. There is going to be an area of channelized flow. So what we're proposing to put in is a level lip spreader right here that would actually convert that channelized flow back to sheet flow as it transitions down across the solar field. Let's see. Road proposed is a 12-foot wide travelway with 2-foot shoulders on each side. Let's see, what else have we got? I did mention the P&R. As you can see, other permits that we'll need to obtain for this project is a stormwater permit from the DEP. We're going to have over with what is currently there on the lot and this project, we're gonna be over 20,000 square feet. And of course, Thomas Pond is in a watershed most at risk from development, so we've got to file a full-blown stormwater permit. We'll also need to obtain a NERPA permit from the DEP. We believe it will just be a PBR because we are going to do clearing and develop within the critical terrestrial habitat of the vernal pools. NERPA regs allow up to, you need to maintain 75% of the habitat as forested canopy. So we're staying underneath that 25% clearing of the critical terrestrial habitat. And we will need to file an Army Corps permit. We could not avoid this little 325 square foot wetland, so we'll need to file a self-verification notification with Army Corps for filling that wetland. All other wetland has been, we did quite a bit of work to avoid all other wetlands. We haven't, we've minimized the impact to the greatest extent practical. Let's see, I think that probably gives everybody a pretty good overview. I'll turn it back over to the board, or if Dave, if he wants to add anything.
Yeah, I would just add that, you know, we've had multiple iterations prior to coming to the planning board on this, but the environmental resources found these vernal pools just killed it. You know, we were hoping to be over on the eastern part of this property with a much shorter access road and just have more, just a better looking project in our mind from a CapEx construction aspect. But we ended up, you know, being driven over here because of the vernal pools, et cetera. And this was really where we could find, and then with the shoreland zoning, that kind of, we're fighting a lot of constraints, but we were able to get it in here at the size we wanted. And then I don't know if Wayne, you could talk, or what we could do is put up the next site plan. Wayne came out with his initial memo, which we looked at, and we created a design that met what his requests, and we couldn't get it in there. We couldn't do it, and the cost was just going to, if that was what we had to do, because of the environmental and stormwater with additional road work, pools, retention ponds, everything. It's just it takes the project off the table. So I communicated that to Wayne, and then I guess that's where we kind of stopped. We decided we'd pick up the communication here tonight, see if we could come up with a solution that met, Wayne's the fire protection, and still made the project work. So that's about where we are today. And I actually, Wayne, if you could go on from here, just so I understand what your second response was. I just outlined that so we understand it better as well.
Sure, through the chairman to the board. So that in our memo, if you recall our memo, we're actually looking for access all around the site, which wasn't possible when I met with Dave at the station. And so we talked about our concerns of being able to stretch hose lines in the area of the arrays and try to minimize the length of our hose lines. And that's when he created this additional access for us in red. So he responded back to me that that would be a problem in actually having that with his project. And what we thought about doing is to give us hose line access in all areas of the array is the possibility of maybe running what's called dry stem pipes out that we could hook our hose lines to and give us access on the remote areas that we physically can't get to on this site. And that's where we're at this point. We haven't finalized that discussion, but I did float that out as an alternative that maybe we should look at to try to address.
So would that come from the cistern, Wayne?
No, that would be in addition to the cistern. So we would use the cistern for the on-site water supply, and then the pumper would pump water through that piping to get out to the remote areas that we could hook a hose line to and take care of either any fire in the array or any wildland fire that might happen in and around the array. So that's what that dry standpipe was about. It was trying to think of an alternative to work with your original road design, but still give us fire protection access to those remote areas of your array.
Yeah, we're happy to try to figure that out.
Right, so if I understand this right, Wayne, what we would do is somewhere near the hammerhead of the turnaround where we could position the pumper truck, we would have the cistern, the buried 10,000 gallon tank full of water.
Yeah.
You would pull that pump truck up right beside that cistern.
Yep.
And we would have another connection somewhere near the cistern where you would hit the discharge side of the pumper truck to that pipe. And and then we would run that kind of evenly spaced, whatever the max you could go with this dry standpipe. We would put a couple of those in maybe a T that would be here that would give you hose coverage throughout the whole site.
Yep.
Gotcha.
That's kind of looking at something along those lines.
Gotcha.
Sounds reasonable. For Wayne.
Sounds expensive.
Irrigation pipes.
Dave, this is Jim Seymour and Kirk. I'm just wondering, was it discussed at all? What were you looking to do? Well, first of all, the access road you have shown in red, was that going to be just a gravel road extension?
Exactly. We just came off the hammerhead. It made sense to us because, that was the ideal location. And we kind of followed the shoreland zone area so that we could leave as much solar area for the solar panels.
Was it, and Wayne, I don't know if this is acceptable, but I'm just wondering, could that be basically a gravel base road, but then we just have a grass surface over it so that you don't get stung with the impervious surface?
The grass surface is, anytime I've seen that used for a fire lane, anytime that we have conditions like we've had this year or like in the springtime, normally, it's a surface where we get stuck, where fire trucks get stuck on that surface.
Is that
tough to plow too and keep it grassed, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
And it was just the whole cost of it. Yeah, I know that would, Jim, I get where you're going. That would eliminate at least some of the stormwater design that we ended up increasing, but
Would eliminate that and would eliminate this, right? Yeah.
But I'm liking Wayne's idea on the standpipe myself.
I do too. It looks like I just got to sharpen my pencil and do some pipe friction and flow analysis and see how long a pipe we can get out there for Wayne and get his connections, to meet his fire flow requirement.
So does that make the red road go away?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we go back to the original design, and then he would have to add the standpipe design to that.
Okay.
Correct.
What does I'm just curious, what does Wayne connect to that? Because he can't,
It's pumper truck.
but he runs these two lines out in a Y. How does he get out to those locations?
Oh.
We take hose packs out, Jim.
Okay. That was the missing link.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say, Wayne, you're a brave man with your fire guys too, because we don't get everywhere we go. We're told not that they're not going in there.
Totally understand, but you're gonna have that remote shut off, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's required, so. And we will definitely make sure that things are disconnected before we spray water, but yeah. It's not only the array though, it's also any wildland fires in and around the array, and we're backing right up to those houses that you see there. So that was the other reason to have access back there, is to protect those in case we had a wildland fire.
And Kirk, did I hear you say, because I think we were thinking that it would be just under a stormwater, but it appears like you're going to trip the stormwater permit?
Yeah, well, I think you're familiar with it, Jim. What's getting us is, whoops, I keep hitting the control button. When Scott built this crushed stone area here, that's kind of dragging us into that, you know, it's dragging us into the stormwater law.
Gotcha.
You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yep.
So
I gotcha. Yep.
And I don't think it's good that we can ignore that.
Yep,
So,
I understand. No, I think he's done that since 2005, so it would be tripped into it.
right.
We're cleaning everybody else's mess up.
Yeah, boy, Dave. Way to be.
Yeah, and we're even, so just the way the topography is and the way that stormwater flows, we have designed the stormwater filter to actually treat Scott's driveway that goes up through here and any of this developed area that goes in there. So we've kind of oversized this storm filter, just so, you know, we make sure that we are protecting Thomas Pond and making sure that there isn't going to be any excess phosphorus entering the watershed.
Yeah, and Kirk, the one comment we did have, which you'll get from the DEP as well, is just make sure you've got reasonable access to get to those filtration ponds.
Yeah, agreed. The number 2, I think, is perfectly fine. There's barely any grade. You could essentially
It's
walk
just,
right
I think
there.
it's that first
I will
one.
I'll take a hard look at this one, Jim, and make sure that we can get a piece of equipment in there that needs to clean it out,
Yeah.
or if the soil ever has to be pulled out
Yeah.
and refurbished.
Yeah, if you go to the DEP, they'll pick on that too.
Yeah. I'm almost thinking we probably could get right through here, Jim. Probably. I mean, we could do my mark. I think probably our access could probably come right through there.
And I see on that plan, you have a light pole.
We do, yes. Yep.
Is that just, how many light poles do you have, and do we need to worry? We're in a residential zone, so I just want to make sure we're not gonna.
Oh, I see a light. Yeah, so that light pole should not be there. And
Okay.
the only light pole that we need is at the equipment pad right there.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that light pole gets taken off.
What's that?
There's another one, actually. There's,
Is there?
yeah, further
You
up.
guys are finding all kinds of stuff for me.
So not a big deal, but, just again, we're just trying to mitigate the amount of light pollution in the residential zone.
Agreed. So the next submission will only include one light at the equipment pad.
And the only other thing I have, which I don't know if Wayne discussed, is where you come off the existing pavement on the boatyard, you're right in front of the garage. So it's going to be, if somebody parks a car in front of that garage, they're blocking everything.
Yep.
So I don't know if we need to no parking on that. I don't know. Does Scott use that as his?
Oh yeah. We'll have to, I've mentioned it to him, so we'll have to put some signs up so
Yeah.
that not only Scott, but his employees are
exactly.
aware of that.
Yeah, 'cause even for your own sake, if somebody parks in front of that, you can't get in and maintain as well. But I think it's more of a emergency access. We just need to keep that clear. So maybe a no parking on the doors, or temporarily is one thing, but permanently no way.
Yep.
Yeah, because currently he's using it to store his boat trailers there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a question, Mr. Chair, to the applicants. We had talked about the fencing going back near the array. Will there be a gate in this area that we're concerned about, or the gate will be up where the new fencing will just be around the solar array?
So I don't know, whatever you want, but I would to be honest, I'd prefer that it's down closer to the array, but we can put it up here too, so that people don't have an opportunity to even drive down in there. I'm good either way.
Yeah, that'd be my
Yeah, I
own.
think that's the better option, actually.
Yeah,
Like right where he's got it shown right there.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Maybe even,
That's fine.
can you bring it a little closer so that we can actually have signs on that gate? And then, and on that building to designate that all as fire lane, no parking?
Kirk, I don't see a reason why we can't bring it right up there.
I don't either. I think that's perfectly fine. We can put the gate right there.
Yeah, I
Just
think,
like just the same style of gate that Wayne provided us in his memo. You know, that pipe type gate with a knock box in it, and then provide him with the additional gate openings in the fence down on the array like he had asked for.
Yeah. And then, Mr. Chairman, one more question. You were proposing a 12-foot access road? I thought I measured it at 16 feet. Did I measure that incorrectly?
Well, it's 12 foot with 2 foot shoulder on either side. So the line probably is the shoulders, Wayne.
Okay, all right.
And I think what I propose to do would be to put the sub-base gravel, the full 16-foot width. I have played around with the auto turn like you had suggested, and we can make it in there with a 16-foot wide road. If we could go 12 foot with 2 foot shoulders on either side with structural sub-base underneath the shoulders as well as the road. That's what I would propose.
Wayne, that's
Okay.
the same as what they did down on the other one that was a staff review, down at the Sebago Solar Farm, down in the pit. Down
Yeah.
the Wyndham line.
And then the other thing that I talked with Dave about is somewhere along that access road have a bypass lane so that if two fire apparatus met moving along that access way, that one could pull over and the other one could go by. Is that possible?
I would have to take a look.
That might work down by your soil filter. That might give you the access you need to, maybe, because it flattens out a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're right, Jim. I think that might be a good location for it right here because this is a berm. This isn't a ditch here. So this potentially could be bumped out right on this corner, something like this. It would give us the access to the pond and give us a turnout at the same time.
Awesome.
And I think that the soil filter has enough capacity that we can take that additional impervious area.
Have you got the standards that Wayne needs for that turnout as far as what's the minimum length and all that, or?
I think so. I'm not quite is that typical 16 feet as well? Is it just a 16 foot by how long? 16 by 40?
Well, you got a 40-foot apparatus that's got to get in there.
Got in there. All right. So
Yeah,
if we
most of
went
those are 80 feet,
So
yeah.
it's the same as the hammerhead, same length as the hammerhead then.
Yeah.
Yep.
16 by 80. Let's kind of just do a measurement and see what kind of a distance we might have. Let's see, it's 1 equals 80. So what do I have for a distance there? That's 73 feet right there. I think we might be able to do it, guys. Yeah, I think we can squeeze it in there.
Good.
All right. Looking forward to seeing
Final
it.
review now? Can we call a hearing?
I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Wayne.
So this is just preliminary this evening. Obviously, we got some revisions we're gonna have to
Sketch
see.
plan, rather than preliminary.
Yeah. So do you want to do a site walk?
Good question. What do you think? You guys want to do a site walk?
There are some residents in the back. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you've had any discussions with the neighbors out there or not, or where they're gonna stand. They do have a decent buffer back there, but I don't know.
We probably have not sent out butters notice.
I don't believe we've sent any public notices yet, right?
No.
No.
Sandy? No?
I don't know if we need to do a site walk. I mean, it's pretty.
It's up to you. I'm just bringing it just
I
protocol.
don't.
No, we sent nothing, Alex.
We've sent
Cleared?
nothing out.
Is it cleared yet?
It's not cleared, is it?
No.
No.
I can't see walking around the woods.
Yeah. Why don't we reserve that to see if we get some abutters?
Yep, okay.
that,
Yep.
what is your timeline for this? Or a hopeful timeline for the project?
Well, I have a drop dead timeline, which is I need to be fully constructed by the end of next year.
Oh,
So I won't be constructing anything until, after spring thaw.
Yeah. So
so you are really in no real time crunch for our action.
he's got the DEP,
Financial considerations, investors, and all that good stuff.
Yep.
and he's got probably, as Kirk will tell you, probably got at least
DEP.
probably 4 months at least with the DEP. The way
Right.
they're operating to this.
Yep.
So, I mean, there is some time. He needs some direction, I guess, of some of these things so he can get his federal and state permits underway.
Agreed. We first started to attempt to permit this in parallel, but once we consulted with Wayne, we've held off on any of the DEP permitting applications to make sure that we had our arms around all of the impervious area that was going to be associated with the project.
Okay. My only question is, I would like to get notices out to the abutters and see if there is any interest from those abutters. And if there is, we would schedule a site walk to go do that. So we could send out notices to the abutters now, within a couple of weeks, actually a week.
Is that your responsibility or mine?
That's our responsibility.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that sounds good.
Dave, I got it.
You just
Yeah.
pay for it.
You pay
I was
for
going to ask you to do it anyway.
Gee, thanks.
So other than that, as far as the project goes, I mean, I see nothing that's really,
No, I think as long as they've worked out with Wayne, I think that's the majority, and whatever they got to do with the DEP. But
right.
I think the rest of this is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think the application package is about 1.5 inches too small, but I think we could work on that. So I would say, as far as our timeline goes, I think that you could start filing with the DEP. We'll wait to see what happens with the abutters. Sandy will check back with you and let you know if we need to schedule a site walk, and then it will be whenever you want to come back for preliminary review, which I'm thinking we could probably, I don't see any problem with the project, do you?
I don't know. I almost think that, if we had sent notices out, we probably could have done it, at least a preliminary. I thought it was preliminary review, but we really don't have preliminary on the site plan. It's just one site plan.
Right. So
Public hearing would be the only thing we might.
yeah. So we would need to do a public hearing. That would depend again on we could schedule that then anytime, not the next meeting, but the meeting after. So if we could plan on that. In the meantime, depending on what happens with the abutters, we could then do a site walk sometime between, where are we talking now? We're in December, sometime between now and December, hopefully before the snow comes. And then I would think, we will not give you final approval until we get DEP, but if you're off with the DEP and that's 4 months, that's probably going to work out well for our timeline as well. Does that sound all workable? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get final confirmation from Wayne on that design before we go to DEP, but that's definitely what we'll work on.
Absolutely. Do you guys have that limits, basically your fencing limits staked out now, or is that something you could do real quick, or just some ribbons so we know where we are if we're out in the field?
Yeah, we could do that. We haven't done it. There's no ribbons out there other than vernal pool ribbons. Which are
I don't
everywhere.
want to walk in those. Those are probably knee deep right about now. They might be lakes. They may not be vernal pools.
All right.
Yeah, we can do that.
Chair?
Yeah, that's the only thing, just so we have a line so we
sure.
know roughly where we
Right,
are in the field when we go out and do the site walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike?
Yeah, just, I guess one question for the applicant, if you don't mind. More related to the amount of gear that I often see on these additional poles that are necessary out by the road. And I don't understand the technical capacities, but seen it in many other municipalities. I know this is Route 302, but those additional poles that are required by the road usually have a lot of don't take it the wrong way, unsightly gear hanging off of them. In this situation, is there any possibility to move those further back from the road? The public will never see the field and everything we're talking about. The only thing that usually sticks out to me in a negative way are these multiple poles with all this gear. So my question is there a way to not have that right up against the road?
So we can ask CMP, but those poles are, the final position of those poles is actually CMP's authority, not mine.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
And that's three-phase, right?
Yeah,
That's
I think
part
it's
of the
on the
problem is that you got a three-phase connection there, right?
Yeah, this is gonna, I think the biggest piece of equipment that's gonna hang there will be, I think there's gonna be another transformer hanging there.
All right. Thank you. Thought I'd ask.
Full transformer.
All right, any other questions? Kevin, got a question?
No questions. Looks good. I love solar.
All right, board, you guys all happy?
Yep.
Jim, you're happy? Alex, you guys got any more questions for us? No?
We got our marching orders.
Okay.
Agreed. I will reach out with Wayne and make sure we got the appropriate flows and length of pipe and all of that kind of stuff. I think that is our next step, and I will probably reach out to you next week, Wayne.
Yep. Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Dave.
See you, Greg.
All right, we are to, any communications from the staff for us?
We did get one application in for next month, which is a subdivision amendment. So that one will be interesting.
Where's that one?
So you guys recently reviewed Eastern Painted Turtle Cove Road.
Yeah,
And if you remember, there was a subdivision at the end of that road that existed that was not part of the review.
yeah.
That's the subdivision that's coming in for an amendment, so.
Oh, great, okay.
Yeah, it's a nice little area down there. Indian burial ground or something. I don't know what's going on.
Ooh.
So, but that's coming in. He wants to revise or amend the common land, I believe, is the crux of it all. It's a very odd, unusual configuration. And then I'd like to do a workshop next month for ordinance amendments for this year. So I don't know if you guys want to come prepared with ideas, thoughts, lists. I've got a couple.
Okay, at the November meeting, or?
Yeah.
So a workshop and the meeting?
Yeah. Just, I don't have too much that's gonna need to be discussed.
No, I was just wondering, the meeting was going to be probably the one,
We could probably do it at the end.
at the end, okay.
Yeah, I would think. Unless you guys have, a list of items you'd like to.
No, I
review,
was just wondering who, what's his, Berenger, will he?
Bernier?
Bernier,
Yeah.
he will be back probably next or not? Probably not.
I would think probably not.
No,
No,
submission's coming right.
yeah, he wouldn't, they wouldn't be able to get anything in.
Yeah.
His deadline was today and.
Right, okay, yeah, so that'll work fine. Then we'll just have the one application.
Yeah.
Yep,
So yeah, I just have a few, we do have some cleanup stuff we can add if it ends up being a thinner year. But I do have a couple of requests from citizens for you guys to look into.
oh, good.
Did we have any carryovers from last year?
No,
The outlier is always tiny homes, but there's nothing being done yet.
that's one of the requests is tiny homes. But, and I gotta explore that a little bit more, do some research before next month. But, yeah. We've got Sandy, how many pages was that document from General Code? It was like 100 and something pages, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one that I
Yeah,
went through and sent
of all
to
of
you
our,
and Jim.
all of our errors in our ordinances.
Yeah.
A lot of them are
I
minor.
sent it to you and Jim, and neither one of you got back to me on it, so.
Oops.
Well,
We had
the
100
time is
pages
now.
of errors?
You
Yeah, a
saw
lot of
my
it's-
surprised face, didn't you, Jim?
A lot of it is, like the definition is a different phrase or term than the performance standard. So it's like just little things that don't match up. They go through with a very, very fine tooth comb.
Oh, I mean, our ordinance
Yes,
is only
they
like
do.
150 pages, right?
Yeah, well, it's land use and shoreland.
Yeah, it's all of them, really, right? Do we have the street? Is the street now in that?
It'll be this year.
Okay.
Yeah, coming up this year.
And subdivision?
And subdivision, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think if, next month, if you guys want to, if you have any thoughts, maybe bring those and we can do a workshop and then kind of firm up a list of what we would like to do for this year.
Okay.
But that's all I got.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in
I have a
favor?
question, guys.
Go ahead, Sandy.
You want me to send a butter notices on the solar thing,
Yes.
but for what? To let them know we have this application, they should look at it online?
Or sidewalk, right? Just to advertise for the, oh, we're not doing a sidewalk.
We're not doing the sidewalk.
You're not doing the site walk, that's why I'm so confused.
Yeah. Yes. Just advertise, just send them the butters notice for that there'll be a development, solar project development on their back door.
But typically,
That's fine, I'll tell them they can look at it online, they
Right.
can come in to see me and look at what we've got.
Do we have one picture of it up online?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
on the
put the
website.
link to
It's on the website?
Yeah, it's on
Okay.
the website.
Do it online, yeah?
Yeah, then just give them the link.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be
because
perfect.
otherwise they're gonna come in and they're gonna look at that binder and probably keel over in front of me.
Right. Give them the link and,
we'll get you a AFib machine.
All right,
Yeah, we got
I
one.
got it now,
Defibrillator.
thank you.
you're all
Can we
welcome.
do that motion to adjourn in second again? I didn't get that because I was trying to get your attention.
Greg made the motion,
Okay,
I second.
Ed seconded, everybody
Okay.
voted for it.
got it.
We did.
Thank you, gentlemen.